Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is facing attacks from both Republicans and Democrats in the primary campaign. All of his challengers agree that the legal issues he's facing are a reason for Texans to vote him out of office. But how are Texas voters responding? For Inside, we're joined by Joshua Blank, Research Director of the Texas Politics Project over at the University of Texas. Welcome, Josh. We wanted to chat with you because you have polled about Ken Paxton in the past, so we wanted to know where his approval rating stands now, especially compared to where he's polled in the past.
You know, Ken Paxton's approval ratings have been remarkably stable, and reality is that if you think about where he stands sort of in the political constellation in Texas, his approval, and especially his approval among Republicans, is similar to that of lieutenant governors. You have about 65% of Republicans approve of the job he's doing. Only about 12% disapprove, and this reflects the fact that, you know, Paxton has been, among many things, very attentive to the policies and the preferences of Republican voters.
Several Republicans have also thrown their hat into the ring for Texas Attorney General. Are they pushing their name hard enough yet? Are they showing up in these polls yet? Are they challenging Paxton enough?
Well, I mean, they're definitely challenging Paxton plenty, but I think it's really hard in Texas. And what you find is that the overwhelming kind of sentiment about some of these challengers, even though we consider them to be, you know, stiff competition for Republican primaries, that they're largely unknown. Eva Guzman, largely unknown. The one exception is George P. Bush, but for him it's a little bit more complicated. He's known by about 60% of Republican voters, but they almost split their opinion on him with about half favorable, half unfavorable.
So Paxton is still largely pulling ahead, is that right?
Paxton is by far the front runner in this race currently. In the last poll that we did here in October with the Texas Tribune, 48% of potential Republican primary voters said that they were going to be supporting Paxton. In second place was Bush, and he was only at 16%.
Wow. So 3 Democrats are also making a run for Attorney General. What does your polling show about those candidates? Is anyone standing out?
At this point, no. And this is not uncommon in Texas. I mean, the thing is, it's a big state, and it's really hard for many politicians who don't already have the advantage of incumbency like Attorney General Paxton to really break through in a state with so many large cities and so many media markets. So the thing that really defines that race at this point is the fact that most Democratic voters have no opinion of any of the candidates.
You've polled in other years. Is it unusual for challengers to have low numbers when we're still 4 months out from the primary itself?
Not at all, honestly. It's not even that unfamiliar when you get much closer to the primary for challengers to be largely unknown to the electorate. And that's one of the challenges running in Texas is that, incumbency is always an advantage, but in a state this big, it's even more of an advantage.
And I know that Democrats right now, you said, aren't really making that much of a showing yet. But do you think if Paxton should win the primary, could polling shift a little more toward Democrats, whoever that candidate may be, just given all of the scrutiny Paxton has faced?
I think because of polarization itself, Democrats are going to line up behind the Democratic candidate no matter what. And I think for the most part, Republicans are going to line up behind the Republican candidate. But I think the big caveat that's sitting out there is pretty clear, which is that Ken Paxton's ongoing legal problems created the rationale for the stiff primary he's facing, and things that change as far as his legal status going forward could certainly change polling and could certainly change the nature of that race immediately.
All right, Joshua Blank, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for joining us here on State of Texas. I'm Maggie Glenn. We'll be back next week to bring you an in-depth look at Texas politics.